Ride of the Nine's almost gone, and I don't think I'm gonna miss it. Ride of the Nine is basically this year's version of Into the Light, but we don't have like a new game mode or anything. It's just kind of the dungeons, they're time-gated glory. Which, I mean, to be fair, yeah, the time gating was a lot more egregious this time because of the initial schedule of it being 3 weeks per dungeon instead of two, which they eventually changed it to, and then they, you know, I don't know. There's a lot of things that I think Red of the Nine kind of did wrong compared to Pantheon, because Pantheon, like, there was something about Pantheon that was just special to me. Raids, and to a lesser extent dungeons, have always been the most fun thing in the game to me. It's always the thing that I've enjoyed the most and consistently played the most. I think most of my playtime is doing raids of dungeons, because they're just, they're really fun. And so to see Pantheon, kind of be what it was really fun. It got me back into, the raiding spirit right before Final Shape, because that was the first time I had played the game in, like 8 months or something like that. So, it got me back into it, and it was just a fun time. It was a fun time overall. And when they were like, oh, we're gonna do something similar for dungeons at some point, I was a little more cautiously optimistic about it. I didn't really know how it would go, and I think it kind of missed the mark from Pantheon, because Pantheon was just the bosses. Ride of the Nine is the entire dungeon being featured, and for free, which is surprising. Bungie letting you access paid content for free, wow. But they chose some really bad dungeons, I think. Spire of the Watcher, I think, was the first dungeon in the rotation, and honestly, I actually think it was kind of a good choice. I think Spire of the Watcher is probably the best dungeon that they included. It's not too hard for people, especially with the Explorer mode. By the way, huge, props to whoever came up with the Explorer mode, because it's really good. It's really good. Because, I mean, yeah, it could be better, but, that's kind of this game's motto. Assuming people read what the hints say, it's actually a really good feature, and I think it's something that should exist anywhere. At least to, some capacity. I get if they want to keep things, a mystery or like on the know, and, make you go look up a YouTube guide for it. Whatever, but I think Explorer mode's really good. I think it's a really good idea, and I want to see it more, even as somebody who knows how these dungeons work and, doesn't need it. I still think it's a really cool idea to see. That's also assuming people read, because it's the Destiny community. Nobody knows how to use their eyeballs. So what ends up happening is you load into Explorer just to, get a quest done or something, and then you are matched with either a speedrunner or somebody that has the object permanence. Object permanence? What's the thing where like if you can't see something, it doesn't exist? I don't know what it's called. Is it object permanence? I don't know, because you could. I mean, Explorer mode literally has like little objective markers above the stuff you need to do. And yeah, they probably could have included the little, like, specifically speaking for Spire, they probably could have included the little attrition like thing above each objective marker, like, hey, you need attrition to shoot this and blah blah blah. Because you just have people that just do not know how to read, and they just come in shooting, and they don't make an attempt. And that's kind of the problem with Explorer mode, and why I think matchmaking in raids is never going to happen. As much as people want it, you have to realize that most people in this game do not, like, there's a reason that episodic activities are the way they are, and it's because they have to be made that way, because most people are just gonna come in and want to shoot things. They're not gonna want to do mechanics. And so that's why everything has to be dumbed down. And even if you put stuff like Explorer mode in the game, you are still not going to really be helping those people, because they just don't want to learn. They want to be carried by someone who wants to actually go through. So like half of my Explorer runs, I'm paired with somebody who's also trying to just, maybe complete the weapon quest or whatever. And then half the time I'm carrying two people because they have no clue what's going on, and they pretty much refuse to actually learn what's going on. So again, it's a really good concept. Unfortunately, this community is just so keen on not reading anything that Bungie puts in the game. It's unfortunate because I want more people to experience this stuff, and explore mode is a really good first step, but it just this community is a little hopeless in that regard. Reading comprehension is not the Destiny community strong suit, and it kind of tells with some of the stuff I've seen in Red of the Nine. And then there's two more difficulties. There's Eternity, which is kind of the normal dungeon, but they made some mechanical changes to it, something that you would see in like a hard mode. And then you have Ultimatum, which is bullshit, and I will not be doing, meaning I'm not going to get the Eternal title or the shader, which sucks because I really like the shader. But I think I'm happy not having that, because Ultimatum mode, to me, just isn't fun. Hi, it's me from the future here. It's currently 4:30, and I was about to go post the video, and then I got Eternal. So, oopsies. I did Ultimatum for Prophecy and Spire, because it was pointed out to me that you actually don't need all 10 triumphs to get the title, you only need 9. And I was like, I'll give Ultimatum another shot, because I feel like I kind of wasn't fair to it by just doing it for Ghosts, because Ghost is a horrible dungeon. And it turns out, wow, Ultimatum is actually kind of fun. My opinion has spun positively over Ultimatum. So I just kind of wanted to throw this little intersect in here. However, I do want to complain about Not Swap, because I think Not Swap is just too punishing. Because I get that Bungie doesn't want the loadout swapping to be a skill due to load times being vastly different depending on your hardware that you're using. I get that, they want to even the playing field. But I think having it on weapon swap is ridiculous. I think it's too much. Right, you've already kind of nerfed the loadout swap stuff with the weapon swap changes, where it's like if you swap from another weapon, you have like a couple second delay. Like in your inventory, like if you go to inventory and put on a new weapon, there's like a small delay before you can fire. And I thought that was fine. I guess Bungie didn't, because they introduced Not Swap. And I think if you just put Not Swap on exotic armor, you would still discourage loadout swapping without punishing everybody else. Because right now, I had situations where I would try a new thing for DPS, it wouldn't work, but I would have to stick with it until we wiped. Because if I tried to switch, say I used like different weapons than I normally do, and I'm like, okay, these kind of aren't working, I need to go back to like what I was using before. And then, well, suddenly I can't do that in the middle of the run, because if I do, I'm going to lose all my abilities, and as a Solar Warlock, abilities are like 90% of my gameplay. So kind of can't do anything about that. I think removing it from the weapon stuff would be fine. Otherwise, you're just punishing everybody else that plays this game for the sins of the most elite, and that's never a good design decision. So I can only pray that they come to their senses and actually revert this, or at least take away the weapon swap penalty. Because again, I think it is far too punishing for like the average player. Because the thing is, you already basically lose all your ammo if you swap from like a primary to a special weapon. So to sit there and lose all of your ability energy too, I think is just ridiculous. Just for weapon swaps. Like, yeah, you're going to kind of put some of the loadout swapping back in, but the thing is, nothing in the game requires loadout swapping. Like, absolutely nothing in the game asks you to loadout swap. It is something that speedrunners came up with to speedrun the game. They're gonna do whatever they can to make the game faster, to beat the game faster, to beat whatever their objective is faster. And you're punishing them. You're punishing them for using intended game mechanics like loadouts, and by punishing them, you're also punishing literally everybody else that plays the game. So please, don't include Not Swap or change it to where it's only exotic armor that, rips all your ability energy away. Just Not Swap's not it right now. I don't know. Anyway, it's I'm gonna get back to editing now. Granted, my only experience with it is Ghost of the Deep, which oh boy, that's a dungeon if they've ever made one. But yeah, it kind of sucks. I'm not really a fan of ultimatum mode. Also, some of the modifiers they put were kind of stupid. Like there's the one where you have to keep moving to not take damage, and like you know how much that sucks in a dungeon when you're just ahead and you have to keep moving or else you're gonna die. Like, oh yeah, I'm sitting at the flag waiting for my teammates to get here, and I'm just kind of dying because, God forbid, I go AFK when there's literally nothing going on. Like, it's a fine modifier. I don't hate it. But I think in a dungeon raid / raid setting, I just don't think it works because there's going to be times where you're just kind of waiting around. So, kind of dumb because, not everyone's good at the platforming in this game. It can be a little weird, so... that moment where you're just ahead, I don't know, it sucks. I don't like it. I think they took it out kind of fast. The weapons, none of them have really been too remarkable. I looked at all the rolls and, like, yeah, there's a couple that I would kind of like to have, but at the same, I'm not going to use them. I'm really not. Weapons, to me, haven't really been interesting in a while. The last time I think I actively grinded out a weapon was my Luna's Howl that you've seen me use here. Because it has heal clip and incandescent, it has like a ton of kills on it. I love that weapon. It's probably been my favorite weapon the past year. And that's like the last time I grinded out for a weapon. And before then, who knows? Like half the shit I have in my vault is probably just like, oh, I was playing the game, I got this, it looks like a cool roll, we're gonna chuck it in the vault and never speak of it again. So, to me, weapons haven't been interesting to grind out for a while. A lot of the new perks just kind of don't scream at me. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's just me being bored of the weapon grind, or if weapons just really aren't interesting, or maybe I'm just too attached to my current weapons that I use. Maybe Edge of Fate will change that. I highly doubt it, considering how much I do not care about anything above a tier 2, maybe a tier 3 for the double perks. But that's a topic for the Edge of Fate video when I do make it. Ghost of the Deep, I think, is one of the worst dungeons they've ever made. I genuinely would have preferred anything else. I would have preferred Shattered Throne. I would have preferred Pit of Heresy. I would have preferred Duality. I don't know any other dungeon names off the top of my head. There's, what's the one from Wish? The one from Wish. With the one, exotic cider. Oh, I don't remember the name. But it's the one from Wish, the one that came out, like, right before Final Shape. And then, even the dungeons this year, I would have... Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the mic like that. I don't know if that picked up. And then there's, no, actually, no, I wouldn't want Vesper's Host in the rotation. Actually, that's a lie. I don't like that Final Plus that much. But, and what's the new one? I don't know the new one's name either. But, like, I would have taken any other dungeon over Ghost of the Deep. Because Ghost of the Deep, you have... First of all, they actually changed the first encounter, which I hope this is something they retroactively apply to the normal dungeon. I know they're not going to because they hate us. But you have the first encounter that drags on for so ungodly long. I mean, I think normally you have to do 4 rotations. Now they nerfed it down to 3, and I hope it gets, pushed into the main dungeon. Probably not, but, deranged man can hope. Yeah, you get the opening that goes on for, like, 10 million years, and then, you have basic, between encounter platforming, and then you hit the water segment, and I think the water segment is just... It's the definition of a pace breaker. I mean, literally. It takes the, kind of, platforming section and it slows it to a crawl and it gives you an oxygen system. And it's like, whoa, is this a prototype of what Marathon would do? Because I'm pretty sure the water mechanic came out around the time that Bungie was talking about Marathon back then. Where they're like, oh yeah, it's going to have this oxygen. Like, were we beta testing Marathon? With the stupid oxygen mechanic or something. But, like, jokes about other bad games aside, the water segments in Ghost just are not that fun. The design of the levels has to be very simple to accommodate for it. It's just uninteresting. It's boring. I mean, I dread Ghost of the Deep for that reason. If you took it away, I think it wouldn't be that bad of a dungeon. But then you get to, like, Ekthar, or whatever the first boss name is. I think that's his name. It's a good encounter. I do like it. But then you get the water segments where Ekthar can kind of just kill you if you land in the not very clear wrong spot, because you can't see where he goes when he goes underwater. So you could literally land and just have him on your ass and kill you for no reason. Or I guess not for no reason, but I guess to, like, you couldn't have really prevented it. Now, granted, that hasn't happened to me much, but I've definitely had a couple times where I would kind of drop in and just die to Ekthar because I couldn't make it out. Also, if he hits you while you're going up the lift, it kind of bugs the physics out, which is really fun if you can't tell. I don't, but, like, I like the density in that encounter. I think it's really good. I think Ekthar's a piece of shit, and I want him dead. I guess he is dead, but I don't really like Ekthar. He also has way too big of a health bar. Ghosts of the Deep is really when Bungie started their modern dungeon design philosophy, I guess you could say. It kind of started with duality. You know, like, I'd say, the 30th anniversary dungeon, God, I can't remember names this morning. 30th anniversary dungeon kind of started it. Duality kept it going. And I think Spire's after Duality. And, like, Spire kind of had some of the stupid thing with bosses having too much health. But it felt bearable in Duality and Spire. It really did. It didn't feel that bad for those dungeons. Like, yeah, it sucked that the bosses had, you know, a bajillion HP. But it at least felt better. And then you get to Ghost of the Deep, which I think is really where the kind of modern dungeon design really shows, and the weirdly, you know, anti-solo feeling of the dungeons. Like, obviously having a team of 3 is always going to be more efficient than a solo run. But now it just feels like you're outright punished for daring to play solo. And I don't get it. Yes, you have to do more to progress as a solo. That's fine. That comes with, you know, that's part of the challenge, is you have to do all the mechanics yourself on top of, you know, having to deal all the damage and whatnot. But it kind of gets to a point where it feels like it's too much. And it started with this dungeon, I feel, because this is the first dungeon that I refused to solo, right? I mean, I think the last one I did was Spire, and then Ghost came out, and I told myself, I'm like, I'm not going to solo this, because it genuinely just feels like it's kicking me in the balls for being solo. Again, love the identity, hate the health bars, hate the underwater segments, and then you get to the final boss, and the final boss just kind of sucks. Especially if you're dealing with randoms that may not know what they're doing. You're going to get people doubling up on areas, or people not even going to areas, so you kind of may as well be soloing it. On top of, I don't know, that room layout just isn't that fun, man. Like, it's just not fun to go through. You know, like, Eternity changed some of the mechanics of Spire. You know, it made you hit the wires in a certain order. I don't know what they did for Ghosts, if they even did anything for Ghosts in terms of, like, Rite of the Nine changes. I literally do not think they changed a single thing, because I'm trying to think on it, and I do not think anything changed for Ghosts of the Deep in Rite of the Nine. Sorry, I just went on, like, a tangent about how much I hate Ghosts of the Deep. And, yeah, the only reason I have a solo flawless of it is because of the crafting, because I just kind of cheesed it with a linear fusion that shot like a shotgun. RIP crafting, I will forever miss you. Really fun time in the game. And then we got Prophecy. Prophecy, by itself, I don't think it's a bad dungeon. I actually quite like Prophecy. The problem comes with the main mechanic of the dungeon, which kind of holds it back. Because the game, you know, it feels like ever since its reintroduction into the game, because for those that don't know, Prophecy came out in Season of Arrivals, and then it got vaulted when Beyond Light came out, and then it came back a couple seasons later. And, like, I don't know what it is, but, like, especially, you know, with Ride of the Nine, it kind of feels like the light-dark mechanic just doesn't work. Like, I will very clearly be in the dark. Excuse me, I will very clearly be in the dark, and I'm producing light modes. And, you know, obviously vice versa. So, like, the mechanic behind it, I think, is a really good idea, and I really like it. But wow, it is not that stable. It kind of sucks to play. Otherwise, it's a fun dungeon. But, you know, especially when you have people that don't know what they're doing, and they don't want to read the text that is supposed to help them, you kind of get people just killing wherever they want when you can't really do that. Prophecy isn't really that kind of dungeon where it's kind of a little obtuse to teach people, because you're having to account for things that you've literally never had to account for in this game, like your position, because I mean, most people don't realize, I mean, just on a base front, positioning is a really good thing to be good at. Positioning helps a lot in this game, and people really kind of aren't good at that. I've seen some deaths in stupid places. Hell, I've taken deaths in stupid places. But then you force positioning to actually matter, and yeah, you're going to lose a lot of people. So it's just kind of a little obtuse. And again, I feel like it's another Ghost of Deep situation where, like, I don't know what they changed on Eternity. I noticed, like, a Tolan ball one time where I had to activate my moat where the Tolan ball was, and then I never saw it again. So I don't even know what the Eternity changes are to Prophecy. Also, them making you actually take the Sparrow Road, like, really? Come on, like, no. The like, the fun of the Sparrow section is skipping it. Why are you making us do the Sparrow segment? I don't get it. Like, I don't know anybody that likes it. I really don't, because it's, I mean, it's not as bad as, like, Ghost of the Deep. That's kind of bottom of the barrel stuff, but, like, it's gotta be, yeah, it's down there. It's definitely down there with how unfun it is to do normally. Oh, I remember one of the Eternity changes. Yeah, there's, like, the little pillars of light now, and you have to kill knights during damage to slam them, or else, like, I don't know what happens, because we always killed them before the bad effects would kick in, so I don't really know. But yeah, overall, event was just kind of alright, I guess. It's somewhat, you know, the Eternity changes I actually noticed are kind of neat, you know, forcing you to complete, you know, certain wires in order for Spire, and I don't know, like the one Tolan ball I saw in the first encounter. Like, it's neat. I just kind of don't. I don't know. But yeah, the weapons this time around just don't really feel as good. I haven't looked at any of the rolls and been like, man, I've gotta get that before Edge of Fate comes out. Like, I have to. I absolutely have to. Like, no, I have comparable gear already. You know, Social Space was cool. It was cool seeing the old Trials of the Nine area. You know, you got to go up to each of the 3 platforms, and then you went in the Flawless Tower, and then you went down there, and then and now you're met with a bunch of chests, and I don't really know what they do, because I haven't opened them. Oh yeah, and then one more thing, the Dungeon Gauntlet. Yeah, there's the Dungeon Gauntlet that was kind of teased in the title requirements. You couldn't see it in-game, but you could on, like, third-party apps. Like, you know, like, it was in the API, you could see a triumph for doing a Dungeon Gauntlet, and so I'm like, oh, hell yeah, this is, you know, the Pantheon thing. No, they just want you to do all 3 dungeons on Eternity before the next daily reset. Like, you couldn't even bother to put a game mode together where it just, oh, you finish one dungeon and then you, like, interact with a rally flag and then it sends you to the next dungeon. Like, you couldn't even bother doing that. I mean, you did it for Pantheon. You set it up for Pantheon. So, yeah, event kind of fell flat a bit. Oh yeah, there's also the nonary engrams that they limit to a certain amount that I don't know, but it's limited because I just hit the limit, you know, actually a little bit ago as a recording. Yeah, they're limited, and I don't know why they're limited. Actually, I know why, because, you know, they don't want to give you too much stuff now. Yeah, there's the free one every day you can claim for the week before Edge of Fate comes out. But like, I don't know, I still don't. The Notary engrams are cool, don't get me wrong, but the limiting kind of gives me even less reason, because the only reason I was playing this past week was to get the engrams, was to get the folds for the engrams. And now that I've hit the cap on the engrams I can buy, I don't want to play the activity anymore, right? The weapons don't speak to me. I don't really care for 2/3 of the dungeons. Well, in this context, I don't care for prophecy. Normally, I love prophecy, but like in this, Rite of the Nine context, I kind of don't really like it. But I don't care for 2/3 of the dungeons. I think the loot refreshes are lame and don't really speak out to me like the End of the Light Arsenal did. And I think that's kind of all I got for Rite of the Nine yapping. I can't really think of anything else except for the next main channel video is gonna be on Edge of Fate. I guess kind of a follow-up to the previous video I did on this channel like half century ago. Edge of Fate is gonna be the next main channel video. I know I said I was gonna take a break after the Mimic video. However, I'm a liar. And so the next one's gonna be Edge of Fate. I'm gonna try to go into it with an open mind because, again, I typically try to with this game. However, early impressions of the sandbox changes, I kind of don't like them that much. I mean, yet again, warlocks are getting the short end of the stick. They're getting unnecessarily nerfed, and meanwhile, that's kind of all we're getting. Meanwhile, hunters and titans are getting, fairly substantial changes across the game. And then you look at warlocks and they're just kind of nerfing everything. But hey, we buffed pocket singularity, guys. We're the heroes. I swear, Bungie drives me crazy with their sandbox balancing sometimes. And, it always feels like it's warlocks that get the short end of the stick, right? I mean, you look at 3.0 and half of 3.0's meat was literally just giving the warlock tools away to the other classes. Right, remember Devour being, warlock exclusive, or like the damage buff on melee? Yeah, I remember that. And yet, they still want to force you on solar on warlock anyway, but then they're gonna nerf all your things on solar anyway, so your class only exists to be a well slave and nothing else. It's tiring. I'm tired of running well. I'm tired of running solar all the fucking time. Please, Bungie, let me breathe and do other classes that aren't solar warlock. Holy shit, dude. Oh, and also the your current existing exotics getting converted into tier 2s. Yeah, that's pretty stupid. I don't think I'm a fan of class items gaining stats, because the benefit of class items was that you didn't really have to care about them that much. They were always a constant, but I guess they decided, we're gonna, inflate the grind by making you grind 5 items, 5 armor pieces instead of 4. But whatever, I guess it's not that big of a deal. I actually deleted like all of the armor that was sitting in my vault, barring a few exotics. I have actually just completely deleted, because part of me is kind of looking forward to the armor grind again, because I haven't grinded armor in like 5 years. I've not grinded out armor in like 5 years. I haven't cared about it. The last time I cared about it was like getting an artifice class item on each character, and I guess the exotic class items. I did go kind of hard farming those, especially for Titan a while back. But I haven't really grinded for armor much, so I went and I deleted all my armor that was sitting in my vault. So the only armor I have left is the armor I'm actively using, which, to be fair, this is something I should have done years ago because it cleared up like 150 slots in my vault, so yay. Didn't really delete many weapons, because I guess it kind of shows that I'm excited for the new armor changes, and yet I really don't care for the new weapon changes. I don't have an interest in grinding these quote-quote illegal, armor rolls. I don't really care for it. And I still don't really care for the weapon tiers, but armor tiers, yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to it. Sandbox changes aren't really looking that good. Don't know how much I care about some of the Kepler stuff, but I'm gonna stop being judgmental, and I'm going to try to go into the DLC with an open mind. But fair warning here, I can't imagine the video is going to be as positive as the final shape one. I really doubt it, considering how much I'm not liking going into it. That'll be next. And then maybe actually after that I'll take a break, because the next video series I want to work on after Edge of Fate, assuming Silksong does not come out. The next video series I want to make is on the Marathon Trilogy. And I have some pretty big ideas for those videos. And I'm really looking forward to working on them, but it's going to be a massive undertaking. So look forward to that. It's going to be a while, probably, before it comes out, unless I'm lying again and I manage to pump it out in, like, September. Which would be crazy if I did. But yeah, after Edge of Fate, I might actually take, like, an actual break this time. And then work on Marathon, which is going to have a lot of moving parts in it if I can realize everything that I'm thinking about. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds? Not me, that's for sure. But, I think I've exhausted all my talking points. Man, I've been talking for a solid 30 minutes. I think that's more than I kind of anticipated to get out of this, but, you know, happens. So, actually, one more thing. I do have another video on planned for this channel that it'll come out. I can't really say when, because I don't know when it'll come out, but I actually do have one more video in the works for at least for this channel, right? And then after that, it's just kind of whatever pops in my head. That's kind of what the channel's been about. Just, hey, something popped in my head. Doesn't really fit for main channel. Let's make it a second channel video, like this Ride of the Nine review, I guess. Or the next video that'll come out on this channel. So, wow. 2 second channel uploads in, like, a relatively short time, hopefully. That's crazy. And the main channel is getting the Edge of Fate video. Yeah, okay. I think that's all I wanted to talk about. I'm going to stop drawing this out now. I forget what I say at the end of my videos. Is it... Oh god, what do I say? I haven't slept in, like, a while. I'm sorry. I think, like, thank you all for watching. Stay hydrated, and I'll see you next time, I think.